crazy 800-pound silverback bursting through the tree.
Alright guys, so we are back into the Roganverse. Now I haven't done these in a while, so forgive me, I'm a little rusty, you know. So let me get back on this saddle that's been bedazzled, and let's just start riding into the Joe Rogan sunset. Alright, let's start with a funny clip.
I just want to touch him. Man. Breasts to a guy are like a light bulb to a moth, aren't they? Unbelievable things. What's up? How we doing? You having fun? Having a rough week, man. I've been hearing the M word too much from my girlfriend, you know what I'm talking about? She brings up marriage a little bit too much, and it's, I can't even hear that word. I hear the word marriage, my brain just shuts off. It's like, marriage, click! Everyone after marriage is, I don't think so.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
So what's going on in the Joe Rogan subreddit, right? And it seems like Joe Rogan pissed off Wladimir Klitschko, former boxer, very legendary boxer, and he's also from the Ukraine, if you guys didn't know that. And, you know, he's been very outspoken about the Ukraine. He's kind of calling out Joe Rogan for this take that he had about the Ukraine. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but apparently Biden gave them permission to use rockets now.
What I don't feel safer is right now they're launching missiles into Russia.
Yeah.
How are you allowed to do that when you're on the way out?
They're already at war, dude. Like, what, you can't use rockets no more? Like, I guess you don't think that Russia used rockets, and then all of a sudden that Ukraine has rockets. It's like, wait, you're being unfair. Now let's see what Wladimir Klitschko says.
Joe Rogan, I listened to your latest podcast. I'm sending you this video to let you know that I disagree. You talk about these American weapons being sent to Ukraine, which you believe will lead to the Third World War. So, let me tell you that you're repeating Russian propaganda. Putin's Russia is in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they have been in war for, like, what, 3 years, and just one small little state, small state protecting their land.
So they want to scare you and people like you. His war was supposed to last 3 days. It has lasted 3 years, thanks to the heroism and sacrifice of us Ukrainians. So you're using the only weapon that Putin really intends to use, propaganda. And this weapon really weakens our democracies. Putin's Russia wants to destroy Ukraine quietly. They want America to stay quiet, not great, but quiet.
Yeah, like, when did Russia become our buddies? When did we start saying, yeah, Putin, you know what, man, we should start trusting that guy? You know, when has Putin done anything wrong? When has Putin ever done anything, you know, criminal, right?
A great America is not an America that abandons countries that defend freedom with their lives. In short, you see, I have quite a few points of difference. If you invite me on your podcast, we could discuss them like free men.
So right there, he wants to be on the Joe Rogan Experience and wants to talk to Joe and maybe explain why, you know, he's being fed misinformation and why he's eating it. He's eating all the misinformation. So I'm going to show you here the video that Wladimir is responding to what Joe Rogan said about the Ukraine. So here is that clip.
I feel safer knowing that Trump is in office.
I do too.
I feel great about it. Like, I just like.
What I don't feel safer is right now they're launching missiles into Russia.
Yeah.
How are you allowed to do that when you're on the way out? Like, the people don't want you to be there anymore. There should be like some sort of a pause for like significant actions that could potentially start World War III.
Let's just pause the Ukraine-Russian war because it's getting a little dicey, guys. Oh no, you know, like, what the heck is this? The only time I think they've ever stopped war was like Christmas or something. They're gonna celebrate Christmas or something. So like they just stopped for 1 day, and then like they did like a little 1-day truce to stop killing each other and celebrate the festivities, and then the next day they just all freaking wiped each other out, right? Like, what the heck is this conversation, dude?
Maybe that would be a good thing that we would like to avoid from a dying former president.
Trump left them the Afghanistan thing. Biden is leaving him the Ukraine and Russian thing. So I don't know. I think it's kind of like even Stevens there, you know?
Look, I don't know about politics.
Zelensky says Putin is terrified. You, man. You people. You people are about to start World War III.
See, that's where I guess a lot of people took it as, oh, you mean like the Ukrainian people fucked them all? You know, like what the fuck? You know, this seems like we clearly know what side you're in, right, dude? Yeah, so not only that, he was being called out by other people too, like this guy here.
Joe Rogan, me as Ukrainian veteran, want to ask you, who the you are to tell you to our president and commander-in-chief of our army, to tell you to all Ukrainian people who desperately fighting for survival in a war against a nuclear army led by a mad dictator Putin, who dreams of restoring the Soviet Union and then conquering the whole world. I'll surely surprise you, but the Third World War has already begun. Recently, North Korea joined this war, and it's only a matter of time before other countries join it. This is a harsh reality, my darling. It's time for you and other little pussies like you to stop whining about the dangers of Third World War and start preparing for it. The entire civil world should wake up and give the strongest and decisive response to the axis of evil. Because aggressors understand only one language, and this language is force. I thought you as martial artist should understand it perfectly. Instead of discussing another stupid conspiracy theory while smoking drugs on your podcast, you'd be better off teaching a little history and remembering what a peaceful policy towards Hitler led to in 1939. If you want to hear an opinion different from Russia propaganda, invite Wladimir Klitschko to your podcast and discuss it. Don't be a stupid.
Let me know what your thoughts about what might end up being this whole event, and will it wind up being World War III in the end?
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Also, to add the cherry on top, Joe does, respond to the whole backlash, and here's what he says about that. Here's the clip called Joe addresses the FU, Zelensky backlash.
Anyway, I recommend learning that lesson not by enraging a billion people.
I experienced a small version of that recently because I said we shouldn't be using long-range missiles on Russia.
Okay.
And the Ukrainians, and Ukrainian bots. A bunch of people came after me.
The Ukrainian bots, huh? The ones that say, hey, please sign up to my own fans.
Because I was saying, the Biden administration, I was like, F these people. And then I think some people misconstrued that as the Ukrainian people, which I absolutely was not saying.
I see.
I was saying whoever in the last days of the presidencies decide to escalate this war, because it appears that that's what they've done.
Right.
It appears that they're leaving Trump a giant mess,
right,
at the very least.
Right. So the good news is I am allowed.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Who leaves a mess for the other president, and then we kind of forget the other mess the other president left for him. Something called a little bit of double standards, and we kind of seem to forget how the tables turn a little bit, and it's kind of funny when that happens to you, right? And that's how it goes. And I guess Trump has to deal with it, and let's see if Putin is his best friend, as he says, and maybe Ukraine goes unscathed and doesn't get invaded and doesn't get absorbed by Russia. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let's get to the next clip. This one's called Comedian Bill Burr on Why the Media Ignores the CEO Killer's Vast Public Support.
You know what's annoying me about this kid who the CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they're at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every month. And now
some healthy people don't get to have that option. You're lucky enough to not have chronic problems that require you to pay in and month out. Money drains fast.
Now we finally need you, and all you do is deny us. And then these pussies and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. I got to be honest with you, okay?
That's also another thing. They, with precaution, took all the information down from their CEOs from every website because of this thing, right?
I love that that CEOs are afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass.
Damn, Bill, tell me how you really feel.
You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Bill was like, yeah, that was his first mistake. He was walking, a dead man walking, man. I mean, it sucks. I mean, all jokes aside, yeah, it sucks, man. But look, you understand the people why they just don't have any sympathy for it. Let me know what you guys think there down in the comments below.
I think you'd be surprised.
Here's another clip where Bill Burr talks about the pharmaceutical industry. This clip is called "Bill Burr Never Stops Being the Incredible Voice of Reason."
Fox News would be shut down. They're anti-American. All they do every day, their business is to divide us. So the reason why comedians have been getting so much is because we don't advertise on their network, so we're just soft targets, right? That's like at the beginning of the pandemic. Remember that kid who he hoarded all the hand sanitizer?
Yeah,
One of the greatest gambles ever.
When COVID hit, people, raided the stores, took everything and profit off of those things that people needed the most, which is toilet paper, wet wipes, diapers, and, tampons, deodorants, hand sanitizers. The price went up on those. It's a markup. It's a black market out there when we realize that people need toilet paper and shit, right?
Because they always, SARS is coming and all of this shit. This kid said, all right, I think this stuff is real. And he had a whole garage full of hand sanitizer, and he was upping the price by 100%. And seeing, they were just dragging this kid. How could you do that? And then meanwhile, like big pharmaceutical companies, it's like $460 for a leukemia pill, and that's totally fine. Why is that fine? Because they're making money off them, so they're not going to bite the hand that feeds. So this is the that you think about when you're alone a lot on the road, and it eventually makes you go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's keeping their business afloat. At the end of the day, yeah, sure, they deliver the news, but they need money. They need money to run the news, and their practices are a little bit more sneakier than others. They're not really afraid, to just kind of keep things aside and, try to avoid a lot of the discussions that are actually happening.
So I have decided what I just sort of I don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, Bill. You do pay attention to everything. That's just his little. It's like his little yeah, I'm a cool guy. I don't listen to all this stuff. I'm cool, man. But this dude knows everything about everything. What kind of turn of events is this, man? Yeah, Bill. Yeah, you're too cool for this, man. You don't know nothing. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys think there down in the comments below. Let's go to the next clip.
I'm not a doctor.
All right, next clip is called Jon Stewart discussing Joe Rogan. Now, here's Jon Stewart talking about Joe Rogan. Let's see what he says about him.
Does the left need a Joe Rogan experience?
What does that mean?
Does the left need a Joe Rogan type of podcast? Or also, how do they get their message out? There was that whole conversation the left needs, who's the left's Joe Rogan?
So I guess what she's trying to say is that, I'm guessing she's saying that Joe Rogan is right wing. So on the left side, right, who is equivalent? I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't think there is one. I think, usually the Democrats are more open to a whole bunch of ideas, and a lot of Democrats kind of inner fight with each other, which I think it's good because it kind of we can discuss problems and ideas. And I think the right kind of just they stay on certain things. They pick a certain idea and they just marinate on it. That's why they're called conservatives, because they just kind of stay traditional on certain things, right?
I mean, I think that's oversimplifying Joe Rogan. I mean, as somebody who does listen to Joe Rogan, I don't know what I would necessarily classify him as. He has some ideas that I think are wildly progressive, other ideas that are probably I would less agree with. But I think what's interesting about Joe is talks to anybody. He does it with a kind of a genuine curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, it was like that for a bit. I mean, he hasn't brought in anybody that could challenge him or anything like that. Nah, he's not really bringing a lot of intellectuals there to kind of challenge him on what he thinks, right? Because, it's not going to be a fun podcast for Joe.
I hate this thing we've gotten into of how dare you platform, or do he's platformed. He has a voice. We have a system that is capitalistic, that voices that resonate tend to be amplified. Bernie went on Joe Rogan, which I think was exactly the right thing to do. But
the power of Joe Rogan is very much there. Like the man has pull. He has influence on young people, old people. They see him as a symbol of masculinity, being truthful, and he's very much like a lot of people's dad in a way, right? Or they want him to be his dad or daddy, who knows. That's just the longevity that Joe has been in the circle and the space, and he also occupies other spaces like the UFC, comedy, podcasting, being a former actor. So he has a vast range of things, and I think they see him as a guy that he's a man's man, so they kind of respect him for that, and they respect his opinions. And then there's also some people that are just there to just kind of like see what he says and see what this man thinks, this millionaire thinks.
It's all these people that have never really, I think, listened to him going, how do we get one of those? And you're like, I'm not even sure you know what that is.
Yeah. You don't need your own. You just need to go on.
And also,
you could say like maybe Jon Stewart is somewhat that. Jon Stewart, whenever he does like interview somebody that, he really kind of wants to like destroy, he can do that. He's done it several times,
I made a special effort to come on the show today because I have mentioned this show as being bad. It's not so much that it's bad as it's hurting America.
I think Jon Stewart is like probably like the closest to it.
So I think that question is always framed in the negative. That's a shit thing, and we need to counter it with a good thing of equivalent value. I think that's a mistake as well. I wouldn't even know how to classify the things that he does and says. Because the other thing to remember is in the world that we live in right now.
Yeah, he the reason why he says that is because, I think he knew Joe a long time ago. And Joe from the old, like from the 2000s to maybe until that maybe the pandemic happened, that was a completely different Joe, right? And then during the pandemic, this dude became, much more conspiracy minded, and he had more doubts and just kind of lean more on the right side, and you kind of see that, right? I mean, a lot of people see that,
right or left. The only thing I object to about this idea of political correctness is that it only comes from the left. In a world of constant comment, everything is attackable and everything will be attacked, whether it's from the left, from the right, things you agree with, don't agree with. We are now an incessant shit talking society. So my only complaint about it is that people somehow blame the left as like we're the ones who complain about shit. Like, I don't know, man. Look in my comment section.
Yeah, they have their own purity tests.
Thank you, Jillian. That's all.
We brought you here today.
It's a cycle because both sides, they get sensitive over one thing or another, right? One of them gets triggered, the other one gets triggered, and they both talk about it, and usually doesn't really wind up being in the middle, but that's how it is. That's just how it is here in the US. But going back to who is the Joe Rogan of the left? I mean, maybe John is, I think that's the only one that kind of comes to mind. Like, who else? Maybe Destiny now? And Destiny right now, like, he's not as big as Joe, though. That's the thing, like, as big, like, I don't, it's just that, Joe is just Joe. He's in his own pedestal there, man. Let me know what you guys think of that. Do you guys know anybody else? Maybe I missed somebody. I'm not really, really thinking too clear on this or another option here, but let me know what you guys think here.
Polar bear smells that man's meat.
So here's a funny post. This is called RFK drinks first Coca-Cola in 9 years. Now here's a picture of RFK, Robert F. Kennedy. Robert, I don't know what the F. Robert freaking Kennedy drinks. No. But look, apparently he broke his Coca-Cola sobriety, I guess. And why? Why did he do that? Because he's like Mr., I want to be super healthy and I want to make everybody healthy. So here's a context of this. So this here might be the reason why he started drinking soda. Maybe only this day too. Look how small that soda bottle is. Look how small it is. It's one of them minis. He's taking it slow, he's slowly going back into that, processed sugar, which he hates, right? So some people think that he basically, he's trying to get in, work with the government in the health department, right? One thing he messed up on is that he called Donald Trump a pig. Nah, not a pig, but he eats like pretty terrible things, right? And I guess he criticized the way he eats, and Donald heard it, and you can't cross the boss here, bro. So what did petty Donnie do is that he made him drink a Coke. And I mean, that's what seems like that is what kind of happened here. Well, a lot of people speculate is
Trump could get sick of him very quickly, especially after he catches wind of what RFK has to say about Donald's fast food diet.
You take it back. No,
He said
you take it back.
very nasty things about some very delicious food products. So yeah, during a recent podcast appearance on the Joe Polish show, as reported by the Daily Beast, RFK literally said Trump is eating poison.
Kennedy confirmed that Trump's love of the Golden Arches is no act, adding that it's arguably detrimental to his health. The stuff that he eats is really, like, bad, he told marketing industry podcaster Joe Polish at a live recording of his The Joe Polish show published Tuesday. Campaign food is always bad, but the food that goes onto that airplane is just like poison. You have a choice between, you don't have the choice, you're either given KFC or Big Macs. That's when you're lucky, and then the rest of the stuff I consider kind of inedible. Kennedy added that one of Trump's best friends claimed he has never seen the Republican politician drink water, and nodded to his well-known love of Diet Coke. And then he drinks Diet Coke, Kennedy added. I was with Dana White the other day. He's very close to Trump. They've had a relationship for 20 years through UFC. He said that sometimes he'll sit through a fight with Trump, and he's there for 5 hours during the fight, and said he has never seen Trump drink a glass of water. Never. But didn't he just say that water's bad and it's got fluoride in it?
I mean, why else or what else? Like, we've seen some of the proof that maybe this is the reason why all of a sudden now he's drinking soda. You know, like, what? This man, like, I mean, it's sad, honestly. Like, you mess up your soda sobriety to work in the government, bro? Simple. All right, guys, last one. This clip is called Anthony Jeselnik rips the JRE podcast in his latest Netflix special.
I'm against cancel culture.
So here's Anthony Jeselnik ripping on the JRE podcast, and he's making fun of the people that try to go on it for clout and specifically, try to get Joe's attention to get on it because they yell out, cancel culture's real and blah, blah, blah. Here we go.
I'm against cancel culture. Thank you. That's my impression of a comic trying to get on Rogan.
Yep. I mean, it's funny because it's true, man. Like, it's funny how they say, like, I can't say this, I can't say that. Bro, you're saying it. No, you're saying it, bro, but nobody's laughing. It's not funny. Maybe you should work on it. Maybe that's the reason why. No. It's not because they're offended by it. It's because the joke sucked.
In 20 years of stand-up comedy, I've been asked the same questions over and over and over again. The question I get asked the most by far is, Anthony, what do you think about cancel culture? Doesn't it make you mad? Aren't you scared?
He's been very vocal about it, so I would say he's a little frustrated about it, and I think, thinking about it so much, he had to make this into a bit. He had to make it into a joke.
What do you think about cancel culture? So, let me be clear. I don't give a about cancel culture. What I am sick of are comedians complaining about cancel culture. It's not that hard. Do your job.
Yeah, like, this one joke I'm trying to make, dude. Like, it's messing up my career, dude. I really want to say this joke, but that joke is the only way that will really, like, get my career going, bro. That's what people actually think, I mean, not really, but yeah.
Comedians are supposed to be unparalleled badasses. I know this because I have a mirror.
Yeah, I mean, like, you come out, you're a comedian, start complaining about, I can't do this, I can't do that. Aren't you supposed to be like a rebel and say
trans? Men get pregnant. I'm willing to say pregnant men. I just don't think it's a good. I think you need extra words. Maybe we should use extra words.
Oh no, there's that silence again. Hearing more and more of that as the audience grows weary.
Trans women are women. How about most? How about almost all? You gotta leave room for crazy.
Your jokes are supposed to kind of represent something, or or be funny. Like, all of a sudden now you have to go out there and have meaning, and you're mad at society because you can't say you're a little person or blah blah blah.
Cancel culture is not scary. It's also not interesting. And it's definitely not new. And yes, I did mention Joe Rogan, guys. Do not get me wrong. I like Joe. Joe's my friend. Joe's a good guy. But if you listen to his podcast, you're a loser.
Well, look, I think Joe wouldn't care if he says that. I think Joe will just do his hyena laugh and he'll be fine. Or his Elmo laugh, my bad. It's an Elmo laugh he does. And, touche.
My brother-in-law is Joe Rogan's biggest fan. Never misses an episode. Doesn't think 4 hours is long enough.
Oh, that's crazy, dude.
But my brother-in-law is Joe Rogan's target demographic. My brother-in-law is a conspiracy theorist, a crazy conspiracy theorist. Like, my brother-in-law refuses to become an organ donor because he swears that if you get into an accident and the paramedics see that you're an organ donor, they won't try to save your life because they want to use your organs to help someone else. It's insane, but I can't argue with him. He's a paramedic.
Yeah, there you go. That's a twist there. Look, obviously, has cancel culture ever worked? Look at the list. There's a list out there of people that have gotten canceled, right? I'm doing the rabbit ear quotes here, right? Nah, they're still working. You can still get a job. Nobody's canceling you.
I feel like people who are canceled, are they really canceled? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we know a lot of our friends that were canceled, but they're making more money now than they've ever have.
Right.
It's just that in the Hollywood game, they're out.
Right.
Right. But there are other ways to do it, and they've figured that out. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, when you talk about cancel culture, usually it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. And Anthony is kind of pointing that out because it's just kind of like fake outrage, and certain people think it's real. Yeah, I think Anthony's spot on with this. I think some people just say shit. They want to be controversial just to get some spotlight on them. Controversy creates cash out here, and some of them do that for that reason. And let me know what you guys think of that. And I think I'm gonna let you go here. I'll see you guys for another video. Like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys for another one.